This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, we're taping from Colorado, and if you've been following it, it's certainly been in the news. It's been a fire, that's for sure. And a lot of people have asked, is there any way they can help? There is a great organization called helpcoloradonow.org. And it is certainly a not-for-profit, but all the monies are going to families, they're going to firefighters, they're going to rescue dogs, they're going to a variety of areas that really is dollars. So if you do want to help Colorado out during this fire blitz that we've got across the strait right now, it's helpcoloradonow.org. And with that said, we're going to be talking about helping authors today. And I have got a fabulous guest, someone I have worked with for several years with some of my own personal things, as well as with the organization AuthorU.org, which is one of the sponsors of your guide to book publishing. Kelly Johnson is the epitome of a virtual assistant. She knows more about the ins and outs of programs, of doodads, of whatchamacallits, of thingies, and when I'm lost for what to call it, it's a hoo-hoo. But Kelly can bring things into perspective. She can clearly articulate. She is the key person I go to when I want to create a workshop. Or what we call them tech toolboxes for our AuthorU members to explain what in the heck Facebook is step by step by step. How do you create that fan page step by step by step? What slide share? How do you really integrate and use WordPress so you get it and you don't have a PhD or to be a programmer? How do you really get into sing and dance and whistle behind the scenes with Pinterest and everything else? Kelly is my go-to person. So Kelly Johnson is the creator, founder of Virtual Cornerstone. She's going to talk more about that, on how she works with authors pre as well as post books, and how virtual assistants across the country, heck, across the world, can really make your life sing. Welcome to our program, Kelly.
Oh, thank you, Judith. I really appreciate that warm welcome, and it's always such a delight talking with you, and I'm excited to be here.
As if we would beat a guest up before. we only want people we know that really walk the talk and talk the walk, and Kelly Johnson is one of those. So let's really kind of jump into really what is a virtual assistant?
Sure, and essentially my definition of a virtual assistant, or sometimes you'll also see that we are called online business managers, is that we handle the administrative, technical, and creative projects for a client's business so that we can really make sure that everybody's strengths and skills are focusing where they should be in order to get a project done. So the biggest aspect that I'm typically asked to assist with are on the technical projects, because that can be such a large aspect for an author's business and making sure that that gets handled. And there's so much available out there that's where most of the requests are coming in that I receive, and people feel that's where they get the most assistance from virtual assistants.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, and let's get into then. So we're talking to authors. And some are thinking about authoring, some are deep into the depths of authoring experience, and some have completed their book and need to know what to do kind of next. So how can you, someone like you, step in that process before, during, after?
Sure, and actually just at the very beginning to start with, if an author is deciding to work with a virtual assistant, I understand that that can be a big decision because that's related to, their book, their business, and they want to make sure that, any messaging or anybody related to those projects is putting out that information to really represent and brand, their book and business. So I understand that that is a big decision to start working with a virtual assistant. And one of the things that I have offered to help people when they're trying to decide, okay, I'm at that point, I'd like to work with a VA, what can I start to delegate because I'm feeling a little overwhelmed and I'm, trying to understand what I might be able to have someone help me with. So usually initially in starting to work with an author, I'll recommend that for a period of 3 or 5 days, they'll just list all the tasks that they're doing, anything related to their book, to their business, just write down whether it's a phone call, it's an email, it's their newsletter, it's a blog post. And then when they get to the end of that, 3 to 5 day time period, they go ahead and actually give a rating to each of those items. So a rating of number 1 would be a task that they really enjoy doing themselves. A number 2 rating would be, well, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I don't mind doing it if I have to. And a number 3 rating is, if I never had to do that task again, I would be doing the happy dance in my office.
Yeah, and I love happy dances.
That's right, exactly. And what I'll recommend then is that the authors look and say, why don't you start with those number 3s that you've rated, those tasks, and delegating them, because you'll probably discover that the items you've rated in number 3 are ones that you tend to always say, oh, I can put that off till next week. That you tend to procrastinate on them, or you just don't enjoy doing them, so they're not getting done. And you'll probably feel a nice weight off your shoulders knowing that those are being handled. So just initially to start off, that's usually what I recommend as a starting point. And
Excellent.
Then once we look at those tasks, what I can help with, depending, as you said, authors are at different stages. Sometimes they're writing their book. Sometimes they might be looking for a printer. They might be ready to start marketing. So what I'll do is look at what stage they're at in the writing process and then see where I can help. So, for example, if someone's just writing their book, if they need a writing coach, if they need to start looking for editors, I can do some pre-interviews of editors. If they're at the stage where they're looking for printing, I can help once again with examining some different print options and companies, getting some of those estimates, looking at book cover designers, once again, some pre-interviewing, starting to help them with getting their ISBN or LCCN, and then into marketing, if they have their book printed, also setting up their ebook accounts, if they need an online shopping cart, if they need a website. So I'll try to see what stage they're at and then where we can start focusing and getting those projects done.
So you're saying that you actually do set up it's not so much setting up letting a web designer set up the ebook accounts. You actually are going to get involved and do that, as long as the shopping cart and select card and the like?
Yes, actually, I've done that for several of my clients. I'll set up their Kindle and their Nook ebook accounts, get that so they can start selling their ebooks as soon as possible. And then also, especially if they're using WordPress for a website, I'll help to actually install the WordPress files and then, help to add, content, pictures, video, audio, and we'll make sure that we get that content in place for them as well.
Perfect. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I know that those are key elements. If there is one thing that I consistently find authors getting stuck with, and I talk to printers about this all the time, that, you say that you can do the conversion to the ebook format, and then you hand it back to the authors, and they're now twiddling their thumbs because they're going, what in the hell do I do next? And you need to bring in a form of a virtual assistant internally to walk them through that deal. And there's only one printer, which is one of our sponsors, Color House Graphics, that Phil Knight said, I get that, and we need to do that.
And absolutely, because another critical piece of that, as you mentioned, it's not just also having, as we're talking about the ebooks, having the ebook account set up so that the, authors can start being able to earn that income with having their book available as an ebook. But in working with a virtual assistant, since I've set up those accounts, the aspect that's also important to realize in setting those accounts up is you need to make sure that there's some key places that you're putting in keywords and a description when you're setting those accounts up, because that's what also helps authors to be found online and gives them more of that online presence. So those are some key factors to be able to be aware of that we want to make sure authors are utilizing and being able to have that as a benefit.
Mm-hmm. Critical. It's absolutely critical with that.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's what we can do on some of the pre-things. Now let's look at the pre-things is setting it up. And what kind of tasks would you do with them? So you go through rating what you want to get rid of, which is critical. But actually, I think that has to be done on every stage, though, no matter where you are in your authoring process.
Absolutely, and that's why I just wanted to share that initially, as regardless of what stage you're at with your book, and as you said, as an author, wherever they happen to be, just really rating those tasks, because once again, it can feel so overwhelming to decide what do I want to delegate, where can I start getting the most help, and like you said, just to have a place to start breaking that down, and then really channeling and focusing in where we can start moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And then going there, I think it also ties in where I talk about the author's platform, Kelly, is what is the vision that the author has for the book? Because they're really clear on that vision.
Yes.
They can work more efficiently with someone like you. Would that make sense?
Absolutely. And actually, one of the other benefits that I think some people haven't had a chance to realize as well in working with a virtual assistant is because as a virtual assistant, I'm also a business owner, just like the authors and the clients that I work with. I understand what it's like to be a business owner, and they can actually use me as a sounding board, and we can do the brainstorming process. So it's not only a matter of being able to have assistance in getting projects done, it's also a great way to have a collaborator in your corner and someone that you can discuss ideas with, or as you said, what the author's platform or vision and what the goals are. We can talk about that and see what direction they want to go or what they want to accomplish, and I can help to discuss those ideas, and we can see what it's going to take to achieve that.
Exactly. And before we're coming up to our first break, but one of the things that our listeners, let me give you an example. Kelly and I were brainstorming two things. I came up with this brainstorm yesterday after our last show with Joan Stewart, the publicity hound, and we were talking off the air that I often do, and we are now initiating a brand new blog for AuthorU. And you can sign up for everyone if they sign up for authoru.org to sign up for our blog, because every Thursday I'm going to send out our top 10 Twitter tweets. We send out 50 to 70 every week. Top 10. And Kelly was able to brainstorm with me, and she said it works, and we're going with that. And with that, we'll be right back. I'm Judith Briles. My guest this hour is Kelly Johnson, virtual assistant extraordinaire. We're talking virtual assistant world. It's your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at authoru.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Change the way you publish online. WaveCloud is a new forum for authors to manage all their books' information in one place from start to finish, including pricing and listing summary. To learn more or sign up for email updates, visit wavecloud.com.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, we are in virtual assistant land, which with the great news about virtual assistant land, it is a global reach because it doesn't matter where your virtual assistant is. And I have virtual assistants. Actually, I have a couple I work with. And I have Philippines. I have the fabulous Miss Kelly, who happens to be in my home state of Colorado, and then I have people who I actually physically have to get into my office and do some of the things that we do. So some people can work totally remote and don't need anybody. I'm one of these people because of all the projects I have going on, that someone who picks up part of my trail behind me. But the virtual assistant is also the person who can not only pick up the trail, they can create the trail, take you into universes you didn't even know about. So with us is Kelly Johnson, who is with Virtual Cornerstone, or Cornerstone Virtual Assistants, I should say that. And Kelly is really an expert. And how long have you been doing this, Kelly?
Actually, I know, I can't believe the time, but I started in September of 2004. So this September.
Wow. So you're 8 years old.
I'm 8 years old.
Yes, and what did you do before you put your official entrepreneur hat on?
Actually, two aspects of what I did before in business. I'm a former high school English teacher. And actually, then I had the opportunity to work for two education companies, one of which we actually would bring teachers from 30 different countries to teach and be cultural ambassadors here in the U.S. Up to 3 years on a cultural exchange visa. So with my teaching background, that was a nice aspect in working with teachers from a variety of countries and having that connection. And with my teaching background, it has just really transitioned so well into my virtual assistant practice because I utilize a lot of that aspect as well in projects that I'm handling for my clients.
Well, you know, Kelly, I'm going to ask this question later, but I think I'm going to bring it up now because we're really on it. And what are some of the key factors to understand regarding hiring a virtual assistant? And I will tell my listeners, when I've worked with Kelly for years, and what Kelly has just brought up, one of her key attributes is that she has an English teaching background. So guess what? She knows grammar and she knows how to spell. And that is so important. If one of the things that you can't stand to do, but you really would like it, that when she was going through those tasks of 1, 2, 3, oh, 3, I will do the happy dance if I don't have to proofread again, that if you've got a VA, which you should have, by the way, who is really good with English, and grammar and punctuation. Also understand slang and get you, understand you. This is really a critical factor. Would you agree, Kelly?
Absolutely, and one of the key items that many clients bring up with me is they say just communication in general, as you said, not only the writing aspect,
yes,
but speaking and communicating, whether it be online, whether it be on the phone, just all of that range is very important to be able to have good, strong quality in a VA.
Yeah, exactly. That is so true. Well, I think that there's just a lot of varieties that you have to look at, and I know that I went to Kelly, to our listeners. This is my confession. I went to Kelly and I said, I need more of you. I need at least 15 more hours. And she said, I can't give it to you. So we sat down and we did a very detailed list of what I needed. This is what and I was not, it didn't matter if it was a he or she to me. Didn't matter. But there was very key things. And one of the things that was on here, you had to be really proficient in English and grammar.
Absolutely.
Really proficient in that. Because I write and I speak, and that's the communication side of it. So that was in there. And actually what I wanted from Kelly, I was asking for 15 hours and I ended up getting 80. So I've hired a part-time, full-time person in addition to working with Kelly. So that's what happens. Anyway, so here we go.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, Judith, that's a great point that I just wanted to also mention that, thank you for bringing that up, that even though, yes, for most people it is ideal to try to work with one virtual assistant who can handle, as many aspects of, an author's business and their book as possible, that is another option to really consider that, as you said, because some projects take so much time in and of themselves, for example, social media or website and blog maintenance and updates, that some authors and clients will go ahead and decide to maybe have 2 or 3 VAs to handle just certain aspects of their business. So they may have one VA just handle all their social media, one VA handle, as you said, maybe all of their, edits and grammar checks and the communication aspect, and another just handle website maintenance. So that's another option to take into consideration.
Absolutely, and that's what I found. And for my one real heavy duty, we're doing aggressively media related projects and databases cleaned up.
Absolutely.
In doing that. So what, Kelly, who is close to me and I can get to her, and I actually get to see physically, which is exciting once in a while, that we can go over some things very, very quickly. All right, so let's go with some other factors. What are the key factors to understand regarding that relationship, the client and the VA relationship? And what are some of the things that maybe Kelly, I should ask this, what are some of the things that you wished potential clients would ask of you that you have to rope out of them?
Oh, sure. Just to start, the first part of your question where you said, what are some things that people should be aware of in working with a virtual assistant and just maybe with their experience or what to look for? A couple things to understand is with a virtual assistant, what's a little different about a VA versus the more traditional administrative assistant or executive assistant position is, once again, as a virtual assistant, we're business owners. So really, when a person is collaborating with a virtual assistant, they're only having to pay for the time to get a project done. They're not having to worry about providing office space, a 401k plan, any vacation or sick time. It's literally just paying for the time to get projects done. So that really is such a great benefit and a nice way for authors and small business owners to be able to get the assistance they need without having to worry about literally bringing somebody into their home office or having to provide a lot of those other aspects. Another key point to really keep in mind is that because virtual assistants are business owners, we're working with our clients. We're not working for our clients. So it's not an employee-employer, relationship. Once again, it's really that collaborative process. And another thing to realize is that in each state, there's not a set certification or requirement that a virtual assistant is expected to complete or is required to complete in order to have their virtual assistant business. So when you see, for example, with my title, where I have certified professional virtual assistant with my name and my communications, where the certified aspect is coming into play is each virtual assistant can decide if she wants to take any additional trainings from, different organizations. So, for example, one of the organizations that I went through, that's where I earned a certification as a professional author's assistant. And in that whole program, we literally broke down and went through what are the different aspects in the book publishing process. Where can you as a virtual assistant best help an author? Where can you give them some guidance? Where are some things that the author really needs to handle, him or herself? Mm-hmm. So that's where, when you see certified, just understand that it's not on a state level that there is a set certification that you're required to complete as a virtual assistant. It's more of different programs in particular niche areas that a VA is focusing on, and that's where that certification is going to come into play. So it's really important when you're talking with a virtual assistant to, really ask about what type of services do they offer, what certifications do they have, where is that area of focus. And I think what was great that, what you mentioned, Judith, when that list that you put down of what are the things that you really need a virtual assistant to help you with, that's such a great way then for people that are reaching out to you and saying, I think I'm a good match and I can do, all of these aspects and this is how I can help you. And once again, you can come together and decide, okay, maybe that VA can't conduct every project or every item that you have on your list, but if the majority of them are the ones that you've picked out where you feel, these are my top 5, that these are my non-negotiables, I really need somebody to make sure that they're handling well, then once again, as we said, if you can also bring in maybe another VA to handle the other aspects that were on your list.
Right. And especially with social media. Let's jump to social media because social media is 24/7. Actually,
absolutely. You
know what, Kelly? It's not 24/7. Social media is 24/8.
That's right.
And
That's absolutely true.
And maybe I need to do a blog on that. That the 24/8 concept that one of the group that I have handling some of that now is based out of the Philippines, and that my communication time is 4 to 8 my time. So I have now had to rearrange my schedule. We're working with my face-to-face clients that I have to kind of clear that time so I am open to interact with them.
Absolutely.
So that's been a challenge. That and that now pushes me to always having at least a 14-hour day, always, no exception.
That's right. And as you said, once again, with a virtual assistant, because you're not limited by geography, as you said, that's where, depending on which time zone, your virtual assistant happens to be in, or if you're working with more than one VA, you can take advantage of those different time zones to be able to expand your day and get more done without you always having to do all of it.
All right, we're going to be back with time zones and much more. I'm Judith Briles. My guest is Kelly Johnson. Virtual Assistants on the dock.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Do you need postcards that make a statement? How about business cards, flyers, brochures, or NCR forms? Two Vets is the solution for all your printing needs. Providing services specially designed for authors, we deliver exceptional quality colored printing. Most important of all, we specialize in reducing your printing costs. No more waiting. No more standing in lines at your local printer. Online proofing. With our pricing tools calculator, you can get instant quotes on all your printing products, as well as shipping rates all over the United States. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you're on the way to discovering how easy and convenient online color printing should be. Contact our friendly, human account representatives. We recognize that you want answers, not voice prompts. Visit our website at www.tu-vets.com or call 1-800-894-8977.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers, creating beautiful and well-made books. We're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, always at the bottom of the hour, we have one of our sponsors come on, and I'm going to wear the sponsor cap for Author U. Author U is a membership organization that will be 3 years old in August of 2012. And it was started really by a fluke thing where someone had contacted me and asked me what I thought about someone locally in Colorado was telling people, oh, just write whatever it is, write your books. Just get them out there and print them on print on demand. You don't need to edit. You don't need to do anything. And I said, oh, for God's sakes, I'm going to start my own group. So that's what I did. I didn't know how to start the group officially. I've run several groups, but they've already been started. And I called one of my friends who had a very successful singles group on this thing called Meetup. And she says, piece of cake. Go to meetup.com, start, fill it out, start your group. So I said, what do we call it? She says, well, you're always talking about authors. Just call it Author. Let's do it. And we came up with Author U and University, actually. And then I decided, no, I wanted U. So that's how it started. And I put out this little deal, and in 1 week, 40 people joined, and it was like, oh my God, what do I do next? I guess I better call a meeting. So we called a meeting, and that's what started it. Author U now has over 400 paid members. It has members from multiple states and countries now. We have monthly meetings. We have webinar series. We're starting our teleconference and video series in the fall. We have one of the best content e-zines called The Resource you can ever get to. And all you have to do is go on authoru.org and sign up for it. It's free every month. If you want to get it archived, you get to pay for that because you're going to have to go in back issues. We have a fabulous, it's Monday morning at Author U on what's going on. And Thursday we have a brand new event starting on our blog. So sign up for the blogs, which are the top 10 tweets that will go out. What are the top 10 of the 50 to 70 tweets we put out every week? What are the top 10 that you ought to pay attention to? Because let's face it, Twitterland is like a cocktail room. You don't know what's going on. There's a zillion conversations going on. You hear little bits and pieces. So we kind of focus in and bring it into you. But Author U is a membership organization, and it's designed for the author who wants to be seriously successful. If that sounds like you, please join us. Membership is only $89 a year. There are multiple discounts that far exceed. For example, we will bring you national distribution for your book. Any other place, it's going to be a $500 entry fee. It is free, that's FREE, with membership. We have discounts with the top publishing suppliers that will far exceed multiple times your AuthorU membership. So join, only $89 a year. It's AuthorU, that's the letter U.org. All right, we're back to Kelly. And Miss Kelly, we were talking about things to delegate. I want to get into WordPress before we leave this half hour, but which we will do, which is one of your just deep down, in-depth expertise arena. But let's talk about some of the other factors. I asked you, what do you wish that authors would ask you on what to expect? Any other thing on your wish list?
I think one of the things is, as you mentioned, just having some idea of some things that you might want to go ahead and delegate, or some ideas and working together. Just being able to understand that it is that collaborative process and we're working with each other. That's part, on my wish list. I think just making sure that, people understand that really is such an important aspect of working, with a VA. And some of the authors that that I've had the chance to work with, it's wonderful to be able to hear once they get into that collaborative process mode and they just realize all the different directions and aspects it can go. They just see that growth and that potential take off, and it's so exciting for me to be able to be a part of that with their books and their business as well.
Mm-hmm. It is. All right. So it's collaborative. And then do you want them, you talked about doing this, rating the task. So is this something when someone contacts you, you ask them right up front to do that and then set up another appointment with them to talk on the phone?
Typically, I'll just initially in the conversation I just want to learn as much as I can about themselves and their business and, what they've done in the past, what direction they want to move in, because I want to just learn where it is that they're feeling like they're at right now. And then toward the end of that initial conversation, I'll mention about, having them go ahead and rate some tasks and keep track of that. And then we'll, follow up typically then with another conversation to say, okay, what did you rate? What are you finding you need some help with? And, we can really use that then as the basis or foundation of, where to start with projects and where to have the main focus.
Mm-hmm. All right. That sounds great to me. All right. Now, so let's go into WordPress.
All right.
First of all,
love WordPress.
I do too, because it has a lot of intuitive features that I think are really important for most authors who are more on the intuitive line. My experience is. Yes. So, what's the difference? First of all, is there only one WordPress?
No, actually, there is a WordPress.com and a WordPress.org, and I know a lot of people are surprised to learn that because it's not always widely known, or people just haven't had a chance to realize that there are those two different aspects to WordPress.
Perfect. All right. And let's get into them. All right. So we have WordPress.com, which I'll tell people, if you're thinking about a blog, this is probably where you are. Would that be true to say, Kelly?
Yes, usually for a lot of people just starting out, they'll want to just start with a blog. They'll usually look at WordPress.com, and WordPress.com is free. It doesn't cost anything to set up the account, and typically what you'll see when you initially set it up, it's usually about a 5-minute process to get the account going. You'll see in your name, instead of just your straight domain name. So, for example, if you wanted like www.judithbrilesblog.com, what you would see with the WordPress.com account would be you could have your name in there, Judith Briles Blog as an example, but then it would say, judithbrilesblog.wordpress.com. It would have WordPress in there. You can pay a little extra to have it, remove the WordPress from that domain area, but really the other part of the limitation with the .com version is that you don't have as much customization, meaning where they give you some themes, and a theme is really just like a look and layout that you want your blog to have. They'll give you some choices, but you're limited in what you can use for the look and design. And you also cannot use what are called plugins that WordPress offers. Plugins are little tools, I like to think of them, that allow you to do many different functions and features on a WordPress blog or a site. For example, a plugin can allow you to stream an audio, recording right from the site. It can, let you display a calendar. It can let you have some of the social media widgets, up on the site. So you can't really use a lot of those plugins that are available through WordPress when you use the .com version.
Okay. And why don't you, because let's just say people don't know what a plug-in is. Let's tell them what it is.
Sure, and that's why I was sharing. A plug-in is it's a little tool that you can install on your WordPress site where it basically, there's a variety of them and they let you do a lot of different functions. So, for example, one plug-in that I like to use is called Audio Player, and that's once you install it, it takes about 2 minutes on your WordPress site, where if you have an MP3 audio recording that you would like people to be able to come right to your blog, right to your site, and click on play and just, have it stream and play right on your site, that little plug-in just allows you to be able to very easily, with, 2 clicks once it's installed, to allow you to have that player right on your site so people can hear the audio recording.
And then you make sure that that's there as a VA. You will make sure that that's there, so then they can use that, and then they can tweet it like heck, because that's the smart thing. That's part of the marketing. This is where I get into it. The marketing, saying when you've got something new.
Absolutely. And then on the flip side, with the WordPress.org, that's the one that I really recommend that, authors focus on using, especially if they're looking at just either getting a website set up, or maybe they have a website and they want to have a new one or an updated version, because WordPress.org is also free. It doesn't cost anything to have those files. But that, as a VA, that's where I would step in, and I can go ahead and install, the WordPress.org files. You do have to have a hosting company that you're working with in order to have a place to, upload the files and have them installed so your WordPress site can actually display on the Internet. But the nice thing is, with your hosting package that you have, you don't have to pay anything more just to have those WordPress files installed and be able to create your website on there. And many hosting packages, if you look, it's a very reasonable rate per month to be able to have unlimited domains or unlimited space on many of those hosting companies, that you could install several different WordPress sites. As you mentioned, Judith, you have 3 different sites that are on WordPress.org that, through your hosting company, with no extra additional charge per month for each site, you have that one flat rate, and you're able to have as many WordPress sites as you'd like. And with the .org version, you're able to have all the customization options that you want. You can go out. There's several themes that are available. And once again, a theme is really just like a set layout and design that it allows you to pick, some certain colors. And if you want to have, 2 columns on your site, or 3, if you want to have some widgets on the side to display your social media, streams that you've got. And it just gives you some great options on that.
All right, so Kelly obviously has a lot to say about WordPress. We're going to come back and we will finish our last 15 minutes talking about WordPress and more, how to incorporate that, because I personally think it's the way you have to be using your sites now. I'm Judith Briles. It's your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Writing and reading are moving to the cloud. WaveCloud represents a whole new community for writers and readers to connect, communicate, evaluate, and share. Writers hone their craft and build their business. Readers build their favorites. Sign up for updates at wavecloud.com.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Hi there. Well, here another hour is whizzing by here. I don't know if we should use that word whizzing, but anyway, I do it. And we've got Kelly, and we're deep into the depths of WordPress. And as I said, as we went to the into the sponsor break, that I really think this is what you should be doing. It is intuitive. For me, that is really critical because I am in and out of things so fast. And when I am whipping up blogs, and I do 4 a week, I've got 2 different sites I've got to get blogs up twice a week on, that it's got to be that I can get in and do it. And Kelly, bless her heart, finally, because I just was like, numbnuts dealing with this image stuff. And it turns out I was clicking on the wrong bloody thing, and that's why I couldn't do it. I was using the wrong thing on the taskbar, although it said image, right, Kelly?
Exactly, and that's sometimes because there's 2 different ways to do something, yes, it can maybe sometimes cause a little challenge.
So the intuitive side said to click on the little green tree that said image, but that's not the right button to push on. It's not the right one if you're trying to pull something from your computer picture file, which I've got so many different logos and images and cartoons that I like to use over the years I've collected. And it just that I kept going, why can't I get it? And she finally, it was kind of a butt-to-butt meeting that we sat down, and she said, no, push this button, and I got it. So
that's right. But see, once again, that was a great example of we each brought our strengths to the table, and very quickly you knew what the part you could do. I knew the part I could do very fast, and it got done in no time flat.
Yes, and we could have done that totally virtually.
Absolutely.
If we had with just a shared screen would have done it. And maybe, Kelly, you want to bring up about, before we go back into the WordPress, but I would like you to bring up about working with a virtual, that you can do things on shared screen, and Skype is your best friend.
Absolutely. I mean, Skype has been such a wonderful tool to be able to incorporate, since as long as both, parties have Skype installed, long-distance calls don't cost anything, and plus to have the advantage of screen sharing, as you shared, to be able to do that, and you can have the chance not only to see each other, but look at each other's screens, go ahead and work virtually that way and turn control back and forth over to each other as you're working on a document, or maybe even looking at a WordPress, dashboard in the background. So it's a great way to be able to not be limited by geography and be able to work together.
Well, I have a client who I've been working with here in Colorado, book shepherding, and we're over halfway through the writing of his book, and he is moving to Hawaii, Maui.
Oh.
And Jim, I made him, he was in yesterday, and I made him download Skype,
Yes.
We got on, we're connected, and I said, Jim, this is the way we can work. And he says, this might save my marriage until she moves over. Going that, I said, absolutely. You could have calls, virtual calls, have a cocktail with her every day, end of the day, talk about it, get through it, and then you and I can work together. And I've got another client who I write with in Australia. And he sends me, then he'll send me the file. I, immediately upload it. I'm making corrections, talking with him as we go, and then I shoot it back. And we always block out 2 hours at a time. And I find it amazing how I have better sometimes transmission when I am out of the country than I do state to state. But that's a whole nother story.
That's right. Technology always sometimes likes to throw curveballs, but it is an interesting aspect.
Well, technology is fabulous. But anyway, so WordPress. WordPress is hot, like sizzling hot. And we've gone through the differences between the .org and the .com. So what else?
Just a couple other items I wanted to share. The reason why I also really like WordPress and recommend that people use that for their blogs and their websites is that the interface, if you haven't had a chance to see it before, it looks very much like a Word document, which most people are very familiar with. So it's not quite as intimidating that since so many people feel, technology, there's so much, and they tend to feel overwhelmed, and sometimes it can feel a little intimidating to get into new areas. That takes away some of that intimidation just to know that, this interface looks like a Word document. I do that all the time in my business. I can type content for a page or add a blog post, and I'm very familiar with that. So that's a great aspect for people who want to be able to do some of their own updates or know how to do their own blog posts. And the other nice thing is with the WordPress as well, once again, as a virtual assistant, some of my clients will just, send the content to me and ask if I can just take care of their updates or putting up their blog posts. Or if they want to actually have on the reverse side, they want to learn how to do some of those updates. I'm happy to do some of those trainings, once again, either in person or virtually, so that they can have that comfort level to know that they can actually do some of that themselves if that's of interest to them, and they want to be able to have some of that control as well. Mm-hmm. And Judith actually brought up a great question when we were starting to talk about WordPress, where let's say you have a WordPress site set up, and especially if we're talking about the .org version, and let's just say for whatever reason, if the person who created your WordPress.org or installed it for you and helped to customize it, let's say for whatever reason you've decided to end your professional collaboration and you're working with someone else. Is it hard to have a new web designer go in and look at your WordPress.org site and start making those updates or changes? A good web designer will be able to go into a WordPress dashboard and see, what theme was installed, what plugins you have, where your pages are, and they will pretty easily be able to transition and take over and be able to do those updates. So once again, another nice aspect of having a WordPress site.
Yes, well, and that's what's really critical, to be able to do that. And so there is a commonality of the codes that anyone who is proficient in WordPress will be if you do have a pissy, upset, former webmaster. All is not lost, correct?
But yes, that's correct. All is not lost. It is right there and can very easily be transitioned into working with a new web designer. The other really fun aspect, one last item I wanted to mention about WordPress that I've actually set up for several of my clients is when we've looked at what are some cost-effective ways, and once again, to take advantage of virtual programs and learning, where the authors I'm working with, if they want to have an online class or not always have to do a program in person, what can we do virtually? And I've actually set up a WordPress site for them through their hosting company, because there's a free plugin that you can set up where it requires people to create their own login, so that it's not where someone would just have a URL and they could gain access to your, the program that you're setting up for online lessons. You can actually set that up so that people can pay for an online program, and you can use the WordPress site for people to log into once they've paid, and you can schedule it just like a blog post. The first lesson that they get would go out on day 1, lesson would go out on day 2. You can have the interaction of the forums there. You can post your handouts as PDFs. You can record audio lessons for them. So it's a great cost-effective way to have an online program.
I want that. How do I get that?
I can set that up for you.
Both sides. I want it. Both sides.
A little snap of the fingers and flick of the wrist, done.
Well, all right. So here what we're doing is this is what a virtual assistant can do for you. That they need to be really proficient. They need to be out there knowing what's going on and out there. So they have got to be really surveying the horizon on new apps that work. They've gone through all their beta testing. So you're not the guinea pig. You don't want to do the guinea pig stuff. Would you say that's right, Kelly?
That's right. You don't want to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, don't be the guinea pig. And so that they've gone through, but when you can come out, instead of, now what she has really introduced is what usually would have been done, would be done through a very sophisticated, not cheap shopping cart that you would set up those day by day that's going out. And what you're talking about, WordPress now is saying, yeah, wait a minute, we've got another little gimmick in our basket of goodies that we offer you, that you can do that, and you can send out these notices and these this is lesson 1, this is lesson 2, etc. That you bring it in, and then if you've got it tied in with whether it's PayPal or some shopping cart or something that they pay for it, because we're assuming it's not all free, or is it free, Kelly? Is this a freebie? Can they tie in a payment process with it?
Yes, you can tie in a payment process, as you said, if someone has an online shopping cart, or you can use PayPal to be able, once again, make sure they pay for it first, and then once they pay for it, that's where then you'd give them the URL to create their login to just, that participant-only paid site.
All right, Kelly, we have literally less than 2 minutes to wrap up here. So what other absolutely they need to know? We actually should do another show just on WordPress. Why don't we do that?
Sure.
Why don't we schedule a part 2, just dedicate this to WordPress? You and I'll set this up and we'll bring it back on. So in the last minute, what little tidbit would you like to leave with to have them hang on and come back?
I think, once again, just really explore, virtual assistants, and really understand that even though we understand it's your book, it's your business, and it's hard to maybe understand where you might want to delegate certain areas, that just to go ahead and realize you're not alone. You don't have to be the Lone Ranger. You can have that collaborative effort and really get the assistance you need. And seeing that when you bring your strengths together and you have that teamwork, it's just amazing how much more you can accomplish. And just also being able to share in all of those successes and, what you have going for your business, and having your books come out is fabulous, because I always tell my clients, one of the most exciting things that I can imagine for an author is especially when they get their first box of books and they open it up and they see their name and they get to see that physical book. And I so appreciate when they call me and share that excitement with me.
Oh, it is, Kelly. It is. All right. Well, another extraordinarily fast hour with Judith Briles and your Guide to Book Publishing. And we want to thank Kelly Johnson, who really is the virtual assistant extraordinaire. We're going to have her back, and we're going to dedicate a whole session just to WordPress. How to make it slick, click, and tip.
For being a part of your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.